What's going on, y'all? My name is Jay Faith, and this is the Right Mind Wednesdays podcast where we sit down, make connections through conversations, and hopefully inspire others, help others to grow in whatever it is that they are doing in their lives. I want to say thank you. I want to say God bless. God loves you. I want to say thank you to everybody that is tuning in, checking this out. This is a MOCG media production right here at 41st Studios in Drake, Mass. Again, I always want to just say thank you for them to allow us to be here in this wonderful space and home of the Right Mind Wednesdays podcast. Um, as you can see, or if you can't see, just to let you know, I am rolling solo today, and that's okay. We're going to keep everything moving. Definitely a lot to talk about, things that I want to share, especially things that I've been going through kind of recently, and I think can hopefully help people, in this process. It is kind of a sad subject, so trigger warning, anything like that. It's a sad subject, and I hope that you will listen just to hear kind of my story, my perspective on it. I know a lot of times you guys hear from other people, and not so much myself, which is kind of the main point, but you know, I would like to share a little bit of my perspective from time to time. So, again, I just want to say thank you to everybody that is listening and, kind of continuing on and listening to this as of right now. Um, so, one of the things that's kind of happened to me recently. So, first of all, Happy New Year to everybody. I'm glad that, again, if you're listening to this, I'm glad that you made it to a new year, you made it to a new day. Um, a happy new year to everybody. 2023, I definitely see for myself, at least, I am aiming very high as far as my goals and things that I want to achieve for this year. Unfortunately for myself, the new year kind of didn't started off on a rocky start. The day before New Year's Eve, I found out that I lost my brother, at somewhat of a young age, if you will, just 62 years old. A brother of mine that I kind of, I wouldn't say recently, but within the past 12 years or so, have just started to get to know and hang out with and spend time with. He's originally from San Antonio, Texas, and lived in Washington at the time of his going home. And, he was on my dad's side of the family. My parents were split. They were all from a former marriage. Shout out to that side of the family. I love you all very, very much. And so for a lot of my life, I didn't get to know that side of the family. So long story less long, eventually met my father, met that side of the family, and, just wanted to build those relationships with them as much as I could, even though they were from across the country. I live in Massachusetts. For those that maybe listen to the podcast, aren't sure where I'm actually from, and so it could be challenging at times when you're that far away. Thank God for technology. We're able to Zoom, to Skype at the time, visit, all those kind of things that allow us FaceTime, social media, all those wonderful things that allow us to stay connected even when we're far apart. So I was definitely grateful for those things to be able to keep up with people's lives, even if life just kind of got in the way of those things. And it does happen. And I think for me, it made it a lot harder because we're so far apart. I couldn't just go down the street and say, "Hey, what's up, man? You want to go? You want to hang out?" And call them up and find some place to go eat. It's it's not that easy. So I was, it was definitely challenging for me, again, in my perspective, to kind of go through those things, and I'm sure it was the same for them at some points. I know one of the things that he had mentioned, was, he definitely wanted to try to make it out here at some point to come see me, and life just kind of dealt a different card, and as is such, unfortunately, that's how life is. But I just continue to pray for my family and everything, as we go through this process. It's been challenging for sure, but we just have to keep our head up, and also keep living. We're still here, and I know for a fact, and in speaking with my family members, we've all kind of said it. He wouldn't want us to stop living. So I know for us, that's kind of our focus, in making him proud, in doing what he would want us to do, and that's not to stop living. It's been definitely a challenging thing, especially, again, I speak on my own experiences of losing family members. So I guess to make a long story less long, maybe a little bit longer, to give you a little bit of detail as to what I'm talking about. So again, as I mentioned, my parents divorced when I was 2, and I didn't really get to know my dad. We would write letters, and we'd share a little bit of information, but as I'm sure we all know, it's very hard to really form that bond, have that those conversations, and build that relationship through letters. You can only do so much, timing, everything else. Sometimes we would go months without writing letters just because I would get too busy. I'd be in sports, or just couldn't find the time to sit down and write. So it was very hard to build that relationship. And then eventually, as I got older into high school and eventually into college, we started getting a little bit more in depth, and I wanted to learn more about who he was. Often we would just kind of share things that were happening, based on, the time of year and everything, and never really got into kind of our history of who we are, and obviously I want to learn more about that side of my family. So, just kind of covering those things, it definitely, it took some time, and obviously growing up and getting older, I was able to kind of figure it out and be like, hey man, you got to kind of figure out who you are, and what your family is like. So I reach out, I say, hey, what's up, I just like to get to know you a little bit more. And he shared with having 3 other brothers, David, Stephen, Noel, excuse me, 4, and Francis, 4 other brothers and 2 sisters. Shout out KK. We miss you. And my older sister, Mel. For me, growing up as an only child, that was something that was crazy to hear, that I actually had that many brothers and sisters, and our family was that much bigger. And, you know, having, and now at this point, having, crazy amount of nieces and nephews, having great nieces and nephews, having such an expanded family. And I love it. It's just hard, again, because a lot of them are spread out over the country, so they're not all around this area, and that is kind of due to military lifestyle. A lot of them were either in the military, or just being with my dad and going to different places because of the military, and then finding places that they loved, they decided to stay there, which I don't blame them. Those are definitely some amazing places: Alaska, Washington, Texas. Those are just very unique places, I think. And so such is life, again. So I go 20 years without meeting my dad, and eventually in 2010 I said, hey, listen, I'm at that point in my life. I'm old enough. I want to meet you. I want to fly out. So I fly out to Washington. This is August of 2010. I fly out, I go see him for a week, try to get as much out of it as possible. And one of the crazy things that I think, maybe, they say not to live with regrets, but one of the things that I definitely regret is not taking a picture with him while I was with him, at that time. Because, to fast forward just 3 months later, I get a call from my brother. He left me a voicemail, and basically saying, hey, you should probably get out here. Dad's not doing too well. So I fly back out just a couple of days later, fly out to Washington, and instantly go to the hospital. I go see him. We talk for a little bit. Obviously, it's hard for him to talk long. So we do our visit, and then I go to my brother's house. We all spend some time. I go to sleep. I wake up in the morning. My niece came down and was like, "Hey, everything okay with dad?" And I was like, "Yeah, I mean, as far as I know," or she would say, "As far is everything fine with grandpa?" And I would say, "I mean, as far as I know." And she said, "Man, I just had this weird dream that grandpa died. I saw everybody getting up and doing this and that." And then my sister-in-law came down and she goes, "Hey, just have some news for you. Unfortunately, your dad did pass away that night." So, it for me it was hard because it was I didn't know what to feel at that moment in that time, even looking back even months later, because again, it was one of those relationships that it wasn't a I wouldn't say that it wasn't a strong one, but it was tailored towards somebody that I didn't really know that deeply. I didn't spend that much time with him. I didn't have those really deep memories that a lot of people do with their close family members. So it was hard for me to understand how to feel at that point. And, the only thing that I could really think of was, man, I just, one, just thankful that I did have that 1 week with him, that I did get to see him, because I know there's a lot of people out there that never get to see their father or their mother, you know. And so, I was definitely grateful for that. But at the same time, I felt a little, I don't know if I would say bitter, but just upset because I only got a week. I wanted more. I had so many questions that I wanted answered from him, and I wasn't going to be able to get the opportunity because he had passed. And so, again, I'm not sure how I felt at that moment. I wasn't sure how I wanted to feel, what I should feel. I thought I should have felt, super sad. I should have been, bawling my eyes out. And I felt down. Obviously, this is my dad that has passed, but I wasn't really sure how to feel. And so, we go through that process. I end up flying home before the funeral and stuff. And then, maybe like a year and a half or so, this is 2012 now, top of 2012. My again, I get another voicemail while I'm at work, same job, and my brother, and a different brother, calls and says, "Hey, man, our sister passes away. Our sister passed. If you can make it, be cool. If not, we understand." So again, I was able to, fly down to Memphis. And again, it was kind of one of those things. It was a family that I hadn't really gotten the opportunity to get close to. The only time that I actually met this sister, KK, was when my father passed. When my father wasn't doing well and everybody was out there. I was actually the last person to fly in from my direct family to before he passed. So to me, I always view things with reason, with logic. I definitely think, he was waiting for all of us to be there, and, so he could, do his thing. I think he knew, which again, I think a lot of people in those situations, they do know. So they, kind of take care of everything, not to sound doom and gloom in that kind of sense, but, you know, so, again, I don't really know my sister, but again, I do feel that kind of pain in my heart, losing another family member that I didn't get the opportunity to get to know and share, and, share experiences with, and all those fun things. So, fly down to Memphis. I hang, I do get to meet some new family, but, and I fly back and I, kind of process that. And then 6 months later, I'm celebrating my birthday up in Saco, Maine. Obviously, for those of you that have ever been to Saco, Maine, it's an amazing time where, driving, cars are parked on the beach. We're spending time on the beach, 3 days, no service, just being with the people that you're with. And the only call that I got was a voicemail from my brother's and sister's mom that my nephew and his girlfriend had passed away in a car accident. And it really took a turn for me. I did get to meet this nephew, which is the son of my brother who just passed, just to kind of connect the dots a little bit. So I did get to see them. I did get to meet them, spend time with them a little bit. Again, for my nephew that passed, for him it was kind of another week that I got with a family member. So, again, it was, but this kid just graduated high school. He's 18, 17, 18 years old, you know, fresh on life, just so many opportunities, had so many goals, had so many things that he wanted to do, marry his girlfriend. They were just connected to the hip, just had his life ready, set, ready to go. And, it was, unfortunately, it was gone in that moment. And, it hurt because it was hard to see such a kid with such potential, um, and his girlfriend, obviously, of course. We miss you, Kayla, as well. It's hard to see that go. And I know the rest of the family, his brother, his sister, and obviously his dad and mom, definitely, and other sister, forgive me, uh, definitely felt that. And I know they felt that much harder than I did, obviously, for obvious reasons. I know I'm kind of rambling at this point on this subject, but I'm just trying to kind of paint the picture for you. So, yeah, so there's, my nephew dies. So I have, three kind of deaths in my family within the span of about 2 years. And again, for me, that process was different. It took me a very long time. I think it took me probably like 5 years before I even cried for my dad. I think I finally reached a point where I really recognized that there wasn't, the time was gone. The time for us to to build a relationship, the time for me to ask questions, the time for me to call, all that stuff was gone. And I finally broke down and I just realized, man, like, it's gone, but I do have to appreciate the time that I had with him. So, um, what I eventually did, I thank God for the ability to create music, the talent that He's given me to create music. I was able to put that into my music, and it's something that in this, you know, set 9 year process, honestly, I'm hoping, sneak peek, I'm hoping to drop this album uh next month, actually, in February 16th, for anybody that is listening. Sneak peek for you, little heads up. This album called Apartments that I literally started in about 2013. As far as writing, this is where I started writing about, just this whole topic, about everything that I had been dealing with during that time. And so, I'm so grateful that I had music to be able to kind of put that down into a place and allow myself to grieve in that way, and to be able to find an outlet to be able to do something like this. And I'm just grateful that God has blessed me with that talent, to be able to do that. But it's been a process, um, with this whole project, with this whole album. You know, it took me this whole time to kind of get through and process and grieve, and then finally move forward. So again, for me, it took me a lot longer than most people would think. And so, you know, to anybody that has lost loved ones, the grieving process is going to be different for everybody. So, kind of bear with them for a little bit. Some people are going to, just kind of break down, and then they'll get back up and be good. Some people are going to take a little bit more. Some people are going to be angry or frustrated. Some people are just going to be sad, maybe depressed, maybe not talk a lot. Some people may want to talk a lot. Some people may want to get out and go and do things. Some people may just want to stay in the house and just keep to themselves. And you just have to kind of let people kind of do their thing, but take your time to grieve. you know really process it. Don't feel like you have to just close yourself up and not feel anything. I have to be tough and I have to move forward, and you know they want me to live. And, as I said at the top, that looks so weird as I'm trying to scooch my chair up. Uh, as I said at the top of this, my brother would not want us to stop living, but, that doesn't mean that he doesn't want us to grieve. That's just a natural process. That's just a natural thing that we have to go through. So, definitely take your time to grieve. That's all part of it. It's okay to cry. It's okay to be upset. It's okay to be too, anger, don't let it consume you, but it's okay to be angry, but, just take time, grieve through that process. Keep, people around you to support you. Have that support system around you, especially during this time, because obviously your emotions are going to be a lot down compared to obviously normal life. So, definitely keep people around you who are going to uh, be that support system. I remember when my dad passed, and my work family, they supported me like I wouldn't even understand. It was something that I had never seen. When I told them that I had to fly out, they were like, "Hey, do it for it." And I had just started the job, and they said, "Hey, man, go. Do what you got to do. If you got to stay, if you got to, whatever it is that you need, man, you do your thing." And then when I found out he passed, I reached out and I said, "Hey, just letting you know he passed. I'm trying to just like figure things out, about, coming back and working, whatever." And they said, "Hey, take the time that you need, do what you got to do. We're here. We'll function. We'll get it done, so that you can handle what you need to do." And, when I got back, there was uh, not that I expected it or anything. They gave me cards and, just really showed their support. If I ever needed anything, they were there for me. They got me out of the house. They got me doing things. Some of my friends, they recognized the state that I was in, and they were like, "Hey, man, nah, you can't just stay in the house. Like, we want to get you out. We want to get you living. We want to, try to help you get your mind off it a little bit. So you're not always thinking of it. You're gonna have your moments where you're gonna think of it, but you do have to take those moments to just get your mind off of it, and, let yourself again just kind of live a little bit, and, kind of get back to some kind of normalcy, because life does go on. And, I'm sure that the people that have passed wouldn't want you to just stop. So, take that time and, really just help yourself get through it. Get those people around you that are going to support you, help, keep you on your feet, and keep you moving. And one of the other things that I've learned to grow in and appreciate, which, I don't judge anybody for their spirituality. Your spirituality is yours. um what's worked for me, especially recently, is, just praying to God and just asking him for strength and for peace, not only for myself but all those involved. I've learned he's been able to give me the peace that and strength that I never thought that I could ever amount to. And, sometimes, that's what works. I know with God, it always works, and it's always worked for me every time that I've reached out to him and just asked for that strength, asked for that peace, to be able to get through these things. It's always been everything that I needed to get through, and I've been able to make it through. So, you know just ask God, man. He's there for you. He sees you through those challenging times. He doesn't, want to see you sad. He wants to, give you that peace. And some say, well, why, if he doesn't want to see you that way, why does he take people away? Well, I mean, that's just life, man. Life. And when it's our time to go and he wants us to come home, you know, I don't find that selfish. I think, as again, what I believe in is, obviously, God created us, and, he wants us to come back home. I don't think that's selfish. As humans, we view it selfishly, and, we want our people to stay. And, I'm right there with you. You know what I'm saying? I don't want people to think that, when I lose somebody, that I'm like, cool, great. They're everything is just, yeah, great, they're with God, awesome. Which, I mean, in that case, yes, it's great. I know that they're in his hands, but at the same time, I definitely still grieve. I definitely still wish that these people are here. Like my brother, I wish he was still here. My dad, I still wish he was here. My other family members that I lost, I still wish that they were here, because I want to build memories. And, for those that I've lost that I built memories with, I still want them here. Don't get me wrong, but I also, on the other side, understand that they are with God, and they're the best hands that you be in. So that's just something that I've come to understand. It's been able to give me peace at the end of the day. Again, it's easier said than done sometimes. It's not always easy. It's not always perfect. It's never perfect. I should say that. It's not always, but it's never perfect. So, you know, it's just something that has helped me. And I hope that anybody that's listening, that it can help you in that same construct. Um, Listen, uh, uh, we may not always understand his path, his ways. Um, but there's always a purpose. There's always a reason. There's always something that we can learn from that. And, with my brother passing, aside from the, time is short, and, we make sure that we spend time with people, kind of deal with my brother passing. One of the things that it really taught me was just to take care of myself. That was my focus, going into 2023. And, just before, on New Year's, one of my New Year's Eve, one of my pastors even came up to me, and this was after I'd found out about my brother. He came up, and this was before I knew how my brother passed. Um, he said to me, make sure that you focus on your health. Make health your number one thing this year. You can't help others if you're not doing well. So, that was, at first, I was kind of confused. Not confused. Health has always been important to me. I know I need to go see a physical. Don't judge me if my wife is listening. I definitely need to go do my physical, but uh, take care of yourself. You know, watch the things that you're eating. If you can exercise, get out and exercise, even if it's just going for a walk, doing cardio. Hit the gym, watch what you're eating. Really take care of yourself in all aspects. Make sure you're doing your self-care days. Whether it's, ladies, if you're getting your nails done, your feet done, getting a massage, uh just taking the day to just meditate in God, and just to kind of bring yourself back, make it, taking those mental health days. Take those days, make sure that your health, whether it's physical, mental, spiritual, make sure that all those things are in line, and where they should be, on a positive level. Because, again, if you're not good, you can't help other people, you can't be there for other people, and honestly, like, you probably won't be here. you know so please, if you can take anything from this in 2023, please just take care of yourself. Um and I'll go there. Life is too fragile. I don't think that it's too short. I think that for those that understand life and live every day like there's no tomorrow, which tomorrow is not promised either, I think that life is fragile, that it can be broken in a second. So, please just live every day, because tomorrow isn't promised. Uh, make that phone call, call up that person that you haven't talked to in a little bit, and just say, hey, man, I was just thinking of you. I love you. Uh, let's really try to connect soon, and, make the appointment. Don't just say, hey, let's connect soon, but make that appointment. Hey, when are you free? Are you free Saturday? Hey, let's grab some coffee. Hey, let's grab some lunch. Even if it's something small, make it something. Even if you're just like, hey, I got 20 minutes before work. Let's head to Dunks and grab a coffee and just sit down and just talk for 20 minutes. Though, even those little things can mean so much to people. Make that phone call. uh Again, take that visit. and just stop by, even if it's for 15 minutes, and just say, hey, what's up? Or make it longer, plan a trip. If you got money, take a trip. If you can drive, man. Road trips are, I always say that they're a pain, but if you're short on change, listen, road trips definitely help. They're a little bit easier. Just be careful on the gas. I know gas is going up a little bit. So, I mean, maybe it's not a good idea, but at the same time, I mean, flights can be crazy. And if you're scared of flying, I mean, the costs, maybe could balance out. So, hey, it might work. But all I'm saying is, really please just connect with people, connect with family, especially ones that you haven't been able to uh, connect with in quite some time. One of the things that we always say with my family, again, just based off of those first three losses, my father, my sister, and then my nephew, was that we have to stop meeting at funerals. This shouldn't be the only time that we get together and spend time together, and kind of make memories, if you will. We have to create that time. We can't let life get so busy that we forget about people, that we forget about the people that we love. Our jobs shouldn't overtake, that time. Again, if we can, I understand that people have to work and, make money to provide for their families. I'm not trying to say, drop everything and go see your family, and, or go see people and, miss paying rent or light bill. Those things are important, but just really put things in perspective as far as your time and what you're putting in. And, you know, again, life is short. You don't want to look back and be like, man, if I had, and you look back and you just say, oh, I spent so much time on music, and I could have went and just spent 20 minutes, with that so and so, instead of, maybe that 5 hour session, maybe I could have cut it to four, and then, took that hour to go out to dinner or go out to lunch with them. Those kind of things, it really matters. So, I just ask and pray that you just really put those things into perspective for you for 2023. um, Life is very, very fragile. Even in the past, 3 months, in October, my cousin lost her battle with cancer. Something that she had beat, and then it came back and just kind of took over. And then just a couple months later, and then in November, my brother-in-law passed away from cancer, and then my father-in-law's uncle passes away from cancer just a couple weeks ago. So it's one of those things. It's for I'll speak for myself, I guess. We're all getting older, and the people that we love are starting to get older, and I really recognize that I have to make that time to see people, because, and tomorrow is not promised, and you don't want to look back and say, I should have did this instead of doing this. I could have done this instead of doing this. So please just take that time, um, to just see the people that you care about, and any grievances that you may have with other people, from the past. Like, just let them go, man. They're not worth your time. They're not worth your stress. Let them go. It doesn't mean that you have to, jump into their arms and be the greatest of friends ever. But if you see them doing something well, just congratulate them and celebrate, and just celebrate life, celebrate goals being accomplished, celebrate people just accomplishing things in life and doing things and living and being here. Because too much, man, we're kind of knocking people down for, things that they're doing, and we're holding on to grudges way too long over, a lot of times, just petty things that it's like, man, you really let that kind of linger with you. It's like, somebody that stole your candy bar in third grade, and you still got a grudge. A lot of times it's those candy bar thieves that we just let hold on to us for so long. It's like, dude, man, do you really care? Do you really care about the candy bar? You probably bought 500 since then, and you still want to have, this grievance with them. over something so simple. So, if you can, just try to let those grievances go, and just celebrate people. In 2023, we're letting a lot of people uh, just not try to knock people down, man, for simple and small mistakes. I shared this on my story today. The Celtics just they got kind of spanked by OKC. They let OKC get 150 points, and a lot of people are like, "Man, Celtics are trash. They let it go. What's going on? What's happening? Yada yada yada." And in my head, the first thing that I thought of was, dude, do we not forget the numbers that the Celtics were putting up just like days prior, weeks prior, the runs of wins that they were going on? I think like all of October they didn't lose. They were on like a 10-game win streak, then like a 7-game win streak, then an 8-game win streak. Like, why are we knocking people down for one mistake? You know what I'm saying? They Just because they lost one game, and maybe like maybe they can't go 100% all the time. Sometimes you just got to hit a point of like, we got to get ourselves back together. This is our, review, like, hey man, everything isn't always perfect, and we're not always going to be perfect or, do well. And, we can't take that for granted that we're just going to stomp on every team every single time, we see them. That we have to, uh, always be ready for those kind of moments. But, to kind of go back, it's like we'll find any opportunity to knock people down, but we forget to celebrate them when they're doing all these great things. Again, it's like a thing that I saw. It was a meme. A math teacher puts up a bunch of math problems on the chalkboard and intentionally answers one of them wrong, and gets 9 out of 10 questions right. And all the kids could do was point out the one thing that they did wrong. And she goes, well, what about all the 9 things that I did right? And so, it just goes into perspective of, please just like appreciate people. You don't know what they're going through in their own daily lives. You know, they could be doing those 9 great things, and then that 10th thing just kind of throws them off. They do something wrong, and then you come and want to stomp it down into their throat. And it's like, you don't understand how getting to those 9 right things probably made them feel so great, because they had been in such a drought of maybe like just getting one thing right, you know and finally they were like, man, 9 out of 10, man, it's taken me 10 years to get to this point. And then all of a sudden they do one thing wrong, and you want to knock them down because they did one thing wrong. So, please just let's celebrate life in 2023. Tomorrow is not promised, and let's just approach everything with love. And please take care of yourself. See your loved ones, cherish them, love them, let them know that you love them. Don't just say it, but really show it to them. Those little things really mean a lot. So I really want to thank everybody for tuning into this kind of special episode, at least for me, even if I am the only one that does get to hear it, which, you know what, I don't care. Uh, this was therapy for me. I'm grateful to be able to kind of speak on this and kind of get my thoughts out. This is my therapy. This is my way, one of my ways of coping now that I have this platform and am able to do these kind of things. So I just want to say one more time, thank you to anybody that has stayed tuned in and has listened to this entire thing. I am grateful. I am blessed. I want to send my prayers out to all of you, that God bless you in everything that you do in your lives. Again, I want to say thank you to MOCG Media for, allowing me to create this platform, for 41st Studios for allowing me to be here, and thank God for just allowing me to be here, and to be able to share this moment. I know that He put me here for a purpose, and hopefully, at least one person listening to this will catch it and apply it to their lives. But until next time, my name is Jay Faith. This is the Right Mind Wednesdays podcast. We'll catch y'all next time. What's up?